Hey guys, Ray from loveyourrv.com. So today I'm back with part 2 of my generator review. This is the eZV3200P from Energizer. In part 1 I went through and did the setup and the initial kind of look through it, and fired it up once for you. So in this one I'm going to go through some demonstrated in action, and then I'll go through my pros and cons if I had a chance to use it for a while here. Right, Angie? Okay, so let's go and test for sound first. My camera kind of picks up sound really well, so it makes it sound a lot louder than it is. So I got a little iPhone app here, well actually Android app, and it's supposed to tell me the decibels, give you a rough look at it. So let's fire it up. I'll just put it in full RPM right now. Maybe go back about 10 feet, I think that's where they measure it from. And we're looking at bouncing around with the wind in my voice. But right around 60, which is what they quote. So let me just put it into eco mode. So that lowers the RPM down quite a bit in equal mode and should run a lot quieter. So we're down not very much, in the 50s. You can see my voice. Let me just stop talking here for a second, we'll get an indication. Okay, so it kind of hangs out in the mid-50s. So around 6-ish and mid-50s to higher 50s in the equal mode, so it's still pretty loud. I've listened to a lot of generators, all kinds of Hondas and Yamahas and Champions, and basically a guy with solar will tell you they're all pretty loud. But this one's in line with most of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give some load so you can hear how it responds under different load changes. I've got a heater here. This one can do 600 watts, 900 watts, and 1500 watts. And Angie wants to go inside. She doesn't want to be out here. Okay, go inside then. There you go. Go inside with Ann. Nap time.
Nap time.
Okay. Here we go. Fire it up. And we'll try 600 watts first. Oh, it really barely changed at all. I'll move to 900 watts. A little bit higher RPM, and 1500 watts. Yeah, so the RPM stepped up. So that would be like running a microwave oven. Just turn it right off, see how it responds. Went right back down to lower RPM. Crank it back up. There it goes. So let's max out this 20 amp plug by turning on this other heater, which runs around 800 watts max. There we go. So that's fully loaded now. And we're still showing 123 volts there, which is nice. And 3,300 RPM. That should be back down to eco mode now again. a walk away, kind of get away from right in front of the generator, and you can see what it sounds like from a distance. Okay, so we're on the other side of the road here. The truck blocking it a bit. So you definitely can still hear it. It's a generator. That's what they sound like. Here's what it sounds like on the other side of the rig. Okay. Oh, a little bit of a backfire there. Interesting. Okay, so next test I'm going to do is go in and see if she'll run the air conditioner on the rig inside. So I'm going to plug in the Cougar and we'll go inside and try a few things in there, see how it responds. Okay, so here we go. I got it out there set to eco mode, and we'll see what we can run in here. Let's try the microwave first. I'll give it RPM picked up a bit, but handled it no problem. Now let's go turn on the AC. Let's see here. Cool. Let's bring it down. It's not very hot out today. Here we go. That seemed to start up no problem. See what kind of current we got in here. I got my surge protector running 119.14 amps right now with the AC running. Let's see what it sounds like out there. Not too bad. Add another 600 watts to it. There we go, that should be around 600 watts. So we're up to 18 amps right now. Probably hard for you to see that in the sun. Let's go to 900 watts. And now we're at 21 amps coming in. So that's right near the max of the generator. Let's see what it sounds like now. Oh yeah, she's running at a pretty good RPM now. So I'm running 900 watt heater and also the AC unit's running at the same time. So, should we try a little bit more here? See if we can ruin something. Up the fan a bit. So you can go 1500 watts. Yeah, it's handling it. 115, 24 amps. That's going 3650 or so RPM, but it's handling it. There we go. Turn that down. Turn this off. Wow, that's pretty impressive. So it had this little 1500 watt heater running at the same time my air conditioner was running. So yeah, that definitely can go pretty good. Let's try put the AC on and see if we can use the microwave. Everybody's going, "You're going to kill it, you're going to kill it." Oh, I'm going to have to wait a sec because there's a delay with the AC. Can't turn it off and right back on again. So just hang on a sec. Be right back. Okay, we're back running. And we're at about 15 amps. I'm just going by my Progressive Industries surge protector readout there. So let's see if we can fire the microwave on. Yeah. It's doing it, it's doing it. Huh, that's pretty impressive. So it can handle quite the surge. Still want to see if I can overload it. Let me turn the AC off. I think what I want to try, I should be able to turn on my hot water heater and this heater, so 1500 watts and 1400 and something watts, and then add that second heater. We'll see if we can go above its current, see what happens, see if it shuts down, blows that breaker out there. Okay, so the hot water heater has kicked in, so we're at 15 amps. Let me just add this little 800 watt heater. Crank it on. See what we're at. 121 volts, 20 amps. So let's add another 600 watts. Now we're at 24 amps. Okay, still going along. We'll try 900 watts. 26 amps. This should do it. I'm going to flick up to 1500 watts now. It's got to blow that breaker out there. Yeah, there we go. So you could hear it pop. Let's go check it out. Pop the breaker, but you can see overload light came on, so it actually didn't pop the little breaker out here. It went to overload. Let her sit for a while. That was pretty impressive. So I had the water heater on, which is 1440 watt element. I had an 800 watt heater on, and then I ended up getting another 900 watt, and it was actually doing pretty good until I went to 1500 watts, and then it overloaded. So it's pretty impressive. It's supposed to be rated at 2800 continuous or 3200 watts for up the surge up to, I think, half an hour. So it's got quite a bit of extra capacity to it. There we go. So that's cool, I didn't break it. Another encouraging thing is I didn't ruin my Progressive Industries surge protector either. In the past, when I've tried to push the generators too hard, like try to run the AC off of just one of my Champions, they're only actually 1600 watts and they have a surge capability of 2000. Well, each time I've done that, it's actually blown the control board inside my Progressive Industries surge protector. But this one didn't, and I think that's this new dual wave technology they have. It digitally controls the voltage and the current. So either under really heavy load, you still get a pure sine wave out of it. The problem with some generators is when they get under super heavy loads, their pure sine wave will break down just briefly. It doesn't take much with electricity, and it'll get kind of jagged or square, and that's enough to cause a problem with the surge protector. In fact, I think it's the Yamaha 2000 watt one that has a disclaimer on the Progressive Industries website that says they won't warranty it if you use it with that generator, and they also say not to use it with any inverters. So that's encouraging. It didn't cause any problems with that. And I was able to get my readout working. Anybody that has these Progressive Industries knows that if you use a generator like I'm using, and most of them have a neutral, floating neutral, but if you use what's called an Edison plug, which bonds your neutral and ground on the generator, this thing will still work because it thinks you're plugged into a proper grounded supply like at a campground. So let me show you how I did that. So I had my my 3-prong 30 amp cord plugged here from the trailer, but I also plugged in this into the 20 amp socket, because this is a one that I used with my Champions, so that I could use that Progressive Industries readout. And I had spliced it apart and bonded the neutral and ground together. I'll leave a link in the description. There's a website called No Shock Zone, and a guy named Mike Sokol, he's wrote up a post about it, about using an Edison plug on your generator. So the neat thing is you could plug it in here, and it would also work here. As soon as I did a test, and as soon as I unplugged this, then it went back to floating neutral and actually caused it shut down. My Progressive Industry shut down with a PE4 error, I think, which means not properly grounded. So just a little bit of extra information for you guys. Okay, so let me go through my pros and cons. We'll start with the pros, and we'll leave the dislikes till the end of this. Well, number one, most favorite thing, wireless start. Gotta love that. Super cool. Next we have what I was explaining, that dual wave technology, which helps it keep a pure sine wave even under heavy load. That's a really cool feature, and it's part of their proprietary design of their inverter. That's designed by a Canadian company out of Ontario. And next, parallel operation capabilities. And there's a couple things I like about this. So you can see this little parallel port. I can't test it because I don't have a second one of these. But unlike some, like say my little Champions that have a bunch of different wires to hook up, this just has the one plug, one cable. So you plug one cable into each generator, and then you have a box where you can plug in your power cables. Also, interesting thing about this particular brand is you can string together different voltages or wattages. So I could have two of these 3200 watt ones paralleled, but I also could have this bigger 3200 watt paralleled with a little, they make a 2000 watt generator, and it would equalize the power. So if you needed a certain amount of percentage, it would be coming out of the bigger one. So it's a very sophisticated parallel operation. So that's a pretty cool feature. Next is the digital readout. I haven't seen that on too many generators. The little digital readout there tells you one interesting thing, it tells you your total runtime, so you know how many hours you have on your generator. But a cool thing about that is you'll be able to know exactly when to do your maintenance. You'll be able to look at the hours and go, okay, I got 100 hours, I better change the oil or whichever. Change your air filter, that kind of stuff. It has both the 30 amp and the 20 amp sockets. I think most of them do when they're like that. 12 volt DC output port. Haven't really tested that yet. It's supposed to be 5 amps, 12 volts, so it's kind of handy to have. Weatherproofing attempts. Now this thing, I read the manual and it says don't use it in the rain or the snow, which, you know, that's going to be kind of hard for a lot of guys who are boondocking, so you're going to have to cover it up or shelter it in a way. But at least they've done some attempts at weatherproofing. Got some covers here on the switches, the breakers, and you know, on the input and output parallel port. Just it'll help for dust not to get in there as well when I'm down in the desert. Next we got up here the gas tank. Kind of like that they used a heavy metal cap on it, and a nice touch was putting in the chain there so you don't drop it onto the ground and get it all dirty. It just takes a half twist to close it, so I like it better than my Champion one. I like the gauge, little floater gauge. It's, you know, not super accurate, but it's good to know. You don't have to keep opening it and looking inside to see if you have fuel in there. And also the tank's a good size, 7.4 liters, which equates to just a little bit under 2 gallons. And they say it can run for 15.5 hours on 25% load, or 4.2 at 100%. So you get a good, at least a good day, maybe 2 days, 3 days when you're boondocking before you have to change the fuel. It's reasonably quiet for such a big generator. I wouldn't call it the quietest out there. I'm sure the Hondas are a little bit quieter and the Yamahas, but you're paying, what, this thing's $949. I was looking at the Hondas, they're around $2 grand or more, so you pay quite a bit extra for that. It's got good rubber wheels on it, nice and big. I was dragging it along the rocks here and I was able to move it around to crush gravel no problem. And I like that they're recessed. It just helps everything get really compact, and the handle folds down and is compact. And it's big enough that you can get some good leverage when you're moving it around. And compact size. I was actually quite surprised that it was so compact for such a big engine. There's a 208 cc motor in there, whereas my little Champions have, I think, 80 something. So it's just a little bit bigger than my 2000 watt Champions. I like having the eco mode. Pretty well all inverter generators are going to have that nowadays, but that's a good feature to have, and it seems to work quite well. Relatively inexpensive. So at $949, it's right in the ballpark with the other kind of Chinese engine brand generators, more the premium ones like Champions. Kind of comparable to the Champion in that, and way lower than the Japanese brand ones. Another one's got a pretty decent warranty. They give you a 3-year limited warranty, which means first year all parts and labor are covered. The second and third year it's parts only. But the Energizer website, you can actually go buy extended warranties up to 36 months. So that's pretty good. And final pro that I thought was, it's a Canadian design and supported North America wide. So I'm pleased that the Canadian-based company is involved with the design and support. And I went on their website, and all the parts were listed, like even you could take the engine apart and buy like carburetors and everything like that, and they're all listed online. So that's really cool that they have that kind of support. So let's get to the cons, the things I really think they can improve on. I didn't really like. Of course, if you saw my first video, I didn't like the access panels on that side, the oil one, and then the big one on that side. They were kind of finicky to take off. I did like the way the screws held in place when you took the thing off, but I have a feeling that those snaps, especially you start getting into colder weather, they might snap off. So I didn't really like the access panels. Other than the front one, that was done well. Next we got the oil fill location. You know, when I showed you on the side there in the first video, took that apart, and it's quite recessed inside there, so it's kind of, and it's up a bit, so if you have big hands it's kind of hard to get in there and check the oil, which is something you have to do quite often, so I think they could improve upon that. Another con is this model is just out. It hasn't been out too long at all. It's one of their newer models, so I can't say it's 100% proven yet. They've made other models in the past. It's not their first generator by far, but this is a brand new design. So it's not, you know, proven like some things would be. Like say the Champion 3100 has been out for a number of years now, so it's had enough time for people to use it for quite a bit. Another con, not really the fault of this brand or anything, but this thing with the big engine in there weighs 100 pounds, so you know, I can lift it, but it's even starting to get a little heavy for me. I can imagine, you know, weaker people or older people might have trouble lugging that thing around. But that's kind of the way it is when you get up to a 3,000 watt generator. I was looking at some of the other models of Hondas and Yamahas, and they're right in the range of 100 pounds. It seemed to be pretty easy to lift. You can grab here, and you can grab here and get a good grip on it. You can even open this as well. So if you have a partner or someone to help you, it's not so bad. You can split the load. I think I'm going to end up building something on the truck so that I can have maybe a box up there and be able to roll it out and run it on the tailgate or something like that. Next, overall fit and finish, I would only call it fair. Some of this plastic is kind of thin. I see it rattles a lot when it's running, so some of the fit and finish isn't, you know, premium. This handle, you know, you kind of get what you pay for. If they're going to cheapen stuff up to a bit, you're not going to get premium quality, but not too bad. But I'd like to see the fit and finish, maybe use a little more metal in it, maybe aluminum or something, or a little thicker plastics on that. You know, one example is up here we've got plastic nuts on there instead of metal. At least they look plastic to me. And this little cap here, I can tell just by the plastic that's going to end up ripping off at some point. And then you end up losing it. But for the price, it's not too bad. And let's keep going here. It's got a few more. The DC port here is, you can see it's a 5 amp port. That's kind of wussy for RVers to have any use for. You're not going to charge your RV batteries at any rate with 5 amps, measly amps coming out. You might be able to charge a tiny little like sealed battery out here or run a few things, but I'd like to see this at least 15 or 20 amps. Then you could actually charge some batteries with it. And finally, I was just looking at this, how it's going to like keep people from walking away with it, and there's no real secure way to lock it up. Like usually I put a heavy chain on it, but this back handle, it's got kind of a tamper-proof nut, but doesn't look like very hard to saw through unless there's metal inside there. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that and see if that's metal, but should be able to. Someone could clip through that pretty quick. And you really couldn't put it through this handle. That handle could be defeated quite quickly. What I'd like them to do with these generators is, you know how the laptops kind of have a thing you can plug in and put a chain on. So I'd really like if they would take something off the main frame, and then even if it was a little port with like a big metal ring, you could open a port and put a lock on some metal ring and then chain it or whatever. So that's just one thing. But that's about it. Let's get to my conclusions. So, in conclusion to the review, I'd have to say my initial impression is pretty favorable. Weighing in the cost of the unit and the features it has and how it's performed in my demo tests, I'm pretty happy with it. Now that's not to say how it's going to last for months ahead, so I can't give it a total thumbs up yet until I've used it for a while. But it's pleased me enough that I think I'm going to be taking this south with me to boondock with, and that'll really give it a good test when we're boondocking for months with this unit, and we'll see how it goes. Hope you enjoyed that look at it and helped you in if you're deciding for a generator. what to look for and kind of introduce you to the Energizer brand. I'd like to thank the company for sending me one out for the review, and I look forward to using it on my boondocking adventures down south. I'll be back. You'll see this again. I'm probably going to try to figure out some type of enclosure or mod so I can have it in the truck bed, make it easy for me to store and travel with me. I thought about putting it on the back bumper, but I don't really trust having that much weight bouncing around back there, especially a generator out in the weather. So I'd like to get an enclosure in the back of my pickup truck. So that'll be a model I'll look into doing this summer. And also, looks like we got a plane coming. Also, yeah, he flew right over me. Also, I'd like to, next time I run into friends of mine that have different brands of generators, like say something in the 33,000 watt range, like a Champion or a Yamaha or a Honda, I'd like to do some side-by-side tests with their generators so we can get a look at how the performance differs between the brands. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Ray from loveyourrv.com. Cheers, everyone.